Welcome, everyone. We're obviously gathered here tonight to recognize 6 wonderful individuals, great coaches, great umpires, great players. Just a little bit of a personal reflection. Homer Schwartz, who used to be our chapter president, this was his favorite event of the year. And so I always want to recognize Homer at the event here. He's the one who pushed the chapter to start the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, Homer did pass away a few years back, and he's no longer with us to celebrate this evening. I'm kind of the detail person, so Homer and I would work together on these events, and I'd be stressing out about every little thing. Do we have enough programs? Do we have enough ads for the program? Who's going to do this? They haven't sent their pictures in. I hope they have their speeches ready. Meanwhile, every time I talk to Homer, he's go, "Boy, it's getting exciting." And I'm like, Homer. So I have tried over the years to embrace Homer's philosophy about enjoying this evening, and it is an exciting evening for our inductees and their families and their friends. And so without further ado, what I'd like to do is introduce some of the past Hall of Famers who are here. The class of 2004, we have Rob Boardley. Where's Rob? He's somewhere. I think he just had his knee replaced, so I'm not going to ask him to stand. And Kathy Jenkins. Kathy, where are you? Kathy Jenkins. Kathy, there you go. And I'll include myself in that class of 2004. Okay, the class of 2005, Susan Merritt. Yes, Susan right there in front. Class of 2006, Elaine Knobloch, who's helped with tonight's planning. 2007, Michelle Maxwell Gold. Elaine, did Patrick Stewart make it? No? Okay, he was supposed to be here. 2009, Tom McHugh, right here in the front. And Tom is going to be our co-MC for the evening. Class of 2015, Tracy Yeager. Tracy? There you go. Okay. And the class of 2017, Sarah Aschenbach was here. She just left quickly, but she's coming back. Sarah and her husband Tristan are the reason we can use the University Club. They're the members here, and they graciously allow us to use the club for our ceremony. Also from last time's class, 2017, Claire Boardley-Berg. Somewhere. Earl Brewer. Earl. And in the back there, Margaret Kondracki. And also, where are you, Peter? Peter Farrell, right in the back. There we go. So that's our past Hall of Fame cloud. I hope we didn't miss anybody. Anybody sneak in without me knowing? Okay. It's a tradition here at the Hall of Fame event to present awards to our men's and women's officials. Each of the groups, the WLUA and the WALOA, have established awards to honor officials for their service and their good umpiring and refereeing. So we'd like to recognize them here tonight. I will do the Women's Officiating Awards, and then we'll move on to the Men's Award. Our group, the Washington Lacrosse Umpires Association, established the Madeline Curlin Service Award, and we've given that every year since 2007. It's the year after Madeline's untimely death. She was a good personal friend of mine and a great umpire and great person, and a big loss for us. But to honor her, we've given this service award every year. It's given to the umpire who best demonstrates the qualities of dedication, hard work, and service that Madeline exemplified in her life. So each year we honor one current or former junior official. Those are the high school girls who we train to do the youth games. And we also honor an adult umpire. So Jen Roan, if you'd come up. Jen is our youth games assigner, and she is going to be presenting the awards to the 2 junior umpires this year. And if I ask them to come up right now, Kelly Galloway and Colleen Novotny, if you'd come up. Why don't you stand with Jen over here? Go ahead and stand over there with Jen. It's a little tight up here. The logistics are a little crazy. So let me, just a quick thing. Kelly Galloway is our 2017 winner. She played at Herndon High School. She joined our junior umpire program and then continued to umpire when she went away to college and then continued to umpire when she was in graduate school. She just got her graduate degree. Hardworking umpire. She's a mentor and a role model to the younger girls, and she continues even now to umpire the youth games, and she is joined in that endeavor at the youth level by her mother, Bernadette, who's also one of our dedicated youth games officials. So that's Kelly. And then Colleen is our 2018 winner. Colleen actually plays for Richard DeSoma at Freedom South Riding. Currently still a player there. I think she's going into her senior year. She's another great role model. One of our officials said, boy, Colleen is just really mature beyond her years. It's just amazing how she handles herself on the field. She will go on to nursing school after this season, which is great. And her father, Scott, is an official for us. And her sister, Gwen, has just started training for doing the youth games. So Kelly and Colleen, congratulations to you. And give the awards to them, and then they're just going to just get some pictures. Okay. Good job, you guys. Okay, Margaret Kondracki is a past board chair for us and was inducted in 2017. She's going to come up and just present the awards to the adult officials. So Pam Shea and Jessica Lawrence, you want to both come up? Okay, while they're coming up, I'll tell you a little about them. Okay, Pam actually started out in coaching. She was coaching up in Damascus at their rec level, and then switched to officiating. And she's worked her way up from doing youth games to high school, and now is a collegiate level official. She's a past board chair for us, worked on the executive committee, spends a huge amount of time with rating and training and helping out with, especially with the junior umpires. She loves to give back to that group of girls from the high schools. So Pam, congratulations. And Jessica is our 2018 winner. Jessica is really just involved in a ton of things at all levels. She started umpiring for us in 2004, and she's been a high school coach at a number of different schools. She's also been the youth games assigner, and if anybody's been an assigner, it is a thankless task, Jen Roan, and a lot of work. She's currently on our executive committee of WLUA. She's the program coordinator for the junior umpires, which is a big, big job. And now she also is coaching. She has 3 children who are back here with their phones, filming mom up in the front. And her 2 daughters are now playing in youth lacrosse, and Jessica is now coaching their teams. So I don't know how you have the time to do all of this, but congratulations to Pam and Jessica. There we go. Margaret knows how to arrange pictures. Very good. Okay, our next awards are for the men's officials. And Mike, where are you? Mike Kleeblatt? Oh, there you go. Mike's going to present. The men do it a little differently, just so you know. The women give our awards, actually physically give them here tonight. The men give them at their annual meeting, so they don't have their awards here except for the one.
We had a typo.
Right, okay. So Mike's going to talk about the men's officials.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm Michael Kleeblatt. I'm the president of the Washington Area Lacrosse Officials Association. I want to thank the Potomac chapter of U.S. Lacrosse for the opportunity to present these wonderful awards. I've been asked to keep my comments brief, and as such, I will start with a 30-minute discussion on the dive rule. immediately followed by a dissertation on the shot clock in the men's college game and its potential impacts across all the levels. I realize that you all are here to see the Hall of Fame inductions, and as such, on behalf of Willowa and the nearly 400 members we have, I'd like to congratulate the members of this year's class of Hall of Famers. As an official, if we want to get Mark and Andy out here for one more go of it, I'd be happy to place the ball and blow my whistle. On to the awards here. It gives me great honor to stand before you and present a couple of awards named after men who had an impact on my lacrosse officiating career, whether they knew it or not. Tom Shekels had a distinguished career as a player and official. He was a 3-time All-American at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, earning first-team honors in 1964 and 65. For 30 years, he served as the commissioner of the Capital Area Lacrosse Officials Association, now known as Willowa, and through his work as president of the Potomac chapter of U.S. Lacrosse, helped develop the sport in the Washington area. Tom passed away in 2002. He was elected to several Hall of Fames, including the U.S. Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 2004, the Potomac chapter in 2003, and the Greater Baltimore chapter in 1999. I played at Lehigh University, and I was part of the game. I'm a Hall of Famer for backup goalies. I was ardently supporting my team at Lehigh when his assist records was broken in 2000, which was pretty cool. I remember hearing his name over the loudspeaker. I said, I knew that guy. The Shekels Award is presented annually to the adult and student members of Willowa, who through their laudable character, skill in officiating, and dedication and commitment have greatly contributed to the advancement of lacrosse in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and who truly personifies the spirit and love of lacrosse exemplified by Tom Shekels. It gives me great honor to present the 2017 and 2018 Shekels Awards too. Our 2017 award for adult is Will Plath. Will couldn't be here tonight. He's doing what we do best. He's officiating. Our youth award, I am excited to say, is here, Mr. James Klein. The 2018 Shekels Award, the Youth Award, goes to Jake Krause. Jake is currently a student at Virginia Tech, where God only knows what he's doing right now. So I'm sorry, I accept the award on his behalf. The Adult Award goes to a longtime friend of mine. This guy has been part of our association since long before we had organization. We had assignments via the internet. They were done on the back of grocery bags hung in the bottom of somebody's basement, and when the programs were really just starting up at the youth and high school level. Today, this individual is very, very important as a member of our group who continues to recruit and retain officials. As you all are well aware, officiating isn't the most prestigious job. We get yelled at, we get screamed at, we get told how awful we are, we get told where to place it, and this guy has helped find new officials to continue to grow our ranks in our association. So it gives me great honor to award the 2018 Shekels Award to Mr. John DeDuro. Almost done here, folks. Our second and final award is the John McCarthy Homer Schwartz Lifetime Achievement Award. It's presented to members who have shown extraordinary service to our organization. The award is named after Homer Schwartz and John McCarthy, who were lifetime contributors to the game of lacrosse as administrators, athletes, and officials. Homer Schwartz played his collegiate lacrosse at Johns Hopkins in the 1960s. He was a two-sport athlete playing both lacrosse and basketball, a two-sport team captain, and three-time lacrosse All-American. Homer served as the president of the U.S. Lacrosse Potomac chapter, and during his time as DC area lacrosse expanded to more than 20,000 members. It had an immense impact on the officiating world. He recruited over 175 high school students to serve as boys' youth officials, and he taught many officials how to blow their whistle and throw their flag. Homer was inducted into the Johns Hopkins Hall of Fame, and he was also honored as the U.S. Lacrosse Potomac chapter and Greater Baltimore chapter Hall of Fame as well. John Mac McCarthy played his collegiate lacrosse at the University of Massachusetts in the 1970s. A long-time association with the game continued as he coached lacrosse at DeMatha, Montgomery Blair High School, and after his coaching career, John progressed to officiating and served as a key member for youth officials. As part of his vision for DC area lacrosse, John promoted the game to such a degree that he was recognized as a major sponsor of the game in Montgomery County. John effectively used lacrosse as a tool to steer at-risk youths to productive activities, materially changing them to motivated young men, reaching positive goals both within the game and life. Mac's irrepressible spirit and positive attitude, including his emphasis on sportsmanship and character development, had their effect on innumerable individuals over his 5 decades. His genuine interest in all practitioners of the game and his easy ability to connect with life distinguish Mac as a remarkable person. The McCarthy-Schwartz Lifetime Achievement Award is presented to members who show extraordinary service to our organization, as a contributor to the game of lacrosse, as an official, administrator, and athlete. The 2017 award goes to Chris Adams, who is celebrating his 51st birthday at Epcot Center as we speak. The 2018 award goes to a man who is present today. For all of you who are involved in the boys and men's game in the area will know that our association has changed a lot over the years. And one of our largest and most important contracts is the Northern Virginia Youth Lacrosse League. As our association has grown, this gentleman has been an absolute bedrock of our association and our foundation in ensuring that games are covered on Saturday morning. When Friday night we get the call, I'm hurt, I'm injured. Saturday morning I'm hungover. And making sure that all of our 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16-year-old games are covered at all levels. He did it with a lot of grace and a lot of courage and kept all of our coaches, for the most part, in line. He's now retired and enjoying life, and we thank him for his many, many years of service. The 2018 award goes to Mr. Frank Higgins. Thank you.
All right. Well, we certainly have 6 very, very worthy individuals who are going to be inducted tonight. They'll receive the ultimate honor offered by our chapter, and that's induction into our chapter's Hall of Fame. I hope you'll take the time to read about each one of them in the program. We've taken the program right up and we put that out on their posters if you've looked at that. And we want all of the inductees to be sure to take their poster at the end of the evening. That's a gift for you all. So the format, just so you know how we're going to do this, I will be speaking about the 3 people from the women's game who are going to be inducted tonight, Richard and Patty and Ashley. And Tom McHugh, past Hall of Famer here, will be talking about the 3 men, Jeff and Mark and Andy. So we will alternate, and since I'm up here now, we will start with one of the folks on the women's side of the game. We are not going in alphabetical order. We want to keep everyone guessing. So someone's out there going, oh my God, am I going to be first? So Patty Cleary knows she's not going to be first because she begged me, please don't make me go first. my fellow official, I will honor that request. So, okay, without further ado, at every one of these Hall of Fame events, when I'm up here introducing inductees, I try to use material from the program write-up, which is, all about their goals scored and their wins and losses and All-Americans and things like that. And then I also try and combine it with some personal recollections, because I would probably say, other than maybe one person, I've known each inductee at some personal level. So it's been kind of nice. For this inductee, I think it's going to be a little bit different, and I think you'll see why when I'm finished. But I am going to start with some program material about Richard DeSoma. Rich started in lacrosse, as so many parents do, when his 7th grade daughter, Lauren, decided that she was going to play lacrosse, and of course they had no coach for the team, so Richard was pressed into service. It's no exaggeration to say that from starting out with knowing absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, about the women's game, Rich has become one of the most outstanding coaches in our chapter area. His 25 years of hard work has been rewarded with many team and individual honors, including a Virginia State Championship last year. He's been named All-Met Coach of the Year, the VHSL Coach of the Year, and what I consider really the ultimate honor for a coach. He was named the National High School Coach of the Year by the NFHS this past year. And in addition to all of that, he finds time to do a lot of volunteer work with the Potomac chapter. So we couldn't do nearly what we do without you, Rich. So here is where I'm going to do something a little bit different. With the help of Kathy Jenkins, where's Kathy? And Kathy, you're over on this side. Kathy knows everybody in the lacrosse world. So I go to Kathy and say, do you think you could find somebody who could tell me a little bit more about Rich and some background stuff? So Kathy does, and she comes back to me she sends me an email response from one of Rich's former players that it was just phenomenal. And it was so well written and so nicely done that I said, I'm just going to read what this player sent. So this is where I warned his daughter to have the Kleenex ready. Anyway, this is one of Rich's former high school players. Des is a quiet man when you first meet him, but make no mistake, that silence is really just a placeholder for the millions of thoughts running through this man's head at one time. How will we get the draw against the best in the state? Will the defensive draw work? At least no one will know how to break our stall. Oh, I need to remember to write that down. Breaking the stall at practice on Monday. Which grandbaby's birthday is next? Can I make it to Madison's game before my club practice to scout for the next game? Oh, wait, I need to email my player. What's her name again? Oh, Grace. Well, she needs to know to switch on defense. This is all in a minute's work for Des. Now add up all the minutes he's awake from 4 a.m. to 2 a.m. the next day. That's a whole lot of thinking about pretty much anything and anyone but himself. He never stopped thinking about how to make his players better and how to share his passion with anyone willing to listen. His careful attention to detail, from plays to activities on team bonding trips, is impeccable. The work he has done for decades to help develop young players and teach them to love the game like he does is remarkable. I still remember the packet we would get at the beginning of every season at Langley. It had all the plays, the rules, the expectations, and then the extra resources. This included the infamous wall ball drill, which I had in my lacrosse backpack up through college. The one thing this man will simply never give up is the saw in his trunk that every poor little girl's stick will inevitably meet, because nothing gets on Des's nerves more than a player whose stick is too long. I remember my sophomore year of college. I get a letter in the mail from Des. What's in it? A copied article on defensive positioning that he found interesting. And that would be good for me to know. No introduction or anything in the letter, just the article and his notes. Amazing he's still thinking of how I can get better from thousands of miles away and 3 years since he last coached me. He cared so deeply for all his players, but man, could he enjoy a good laugh at our expense. When he started me as a freshman without telling me, I immediately choked and threw the ball out of bounds, which just about brought me to tears. I was so scared. When he finally pulled me off, he didn't say anything, he was just laughing. This was because to him these were moments of growth, and stumbling is all a part of it. He loves the game and loves everyone who comes to him looking to be better. Des's heart and soul has been thrown into lacrosse forever, and I and so many others were so lucky to have him there for a pep talk or two, a swift and short yelling, and everybody take a deep breath, or moral support. Des is a selfless man who has given everything to this game. All I can say is, wow, when I read this, and I just felt I had to just tell you what she had to say. It exemplifies all the reasons why Rich is being inducted here tonight. And Rich, my friend, congratulations. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the Chapter's Hall of Fame.
Wow. Yes. Kathy had that letter? I never realized it. It's amazing. Yeah, I do have a passion for this. Just a side note, Colleen, right? Colleen is also one of our captains, and she had a outstanding state championship game last year. And I also want to thank Pat for this wonderful write-up. I don't know how she knew what she knew. I don't know how she knew that I had competitive desire. Seriously. Oh, that's right. She officiates on my games. That's right. Anyway, it's a wonderful write-up. Thank you, Pat. Okay, I've got a few things I'd like to say. First of all, a heartfelt thank you to the Women's Lacrosse Hall of Fame nominating committee for this nomination. When Pat called, I was quite surprised, never having thought of myself in this regard. Thank you to the coaches, families, players, parents, and friends who have come tonight. I've got quite a number who are here, and I really appreciate it. Daughter Lauren's here. Unfortunately, my other daughter Ashley couldn't be here. She's in Tennessee. One of her children got sick, so she had to cancel plans. Lauren and I have come to this event for many years to hear what we consider fascinating stories the inductees have to tell about their lacrosse involvement and careers, what the wonderful Homer Schwartz used to love to refer to as getting together and telling stories. It's an honor to be nominated and recognized with such prominent and accomplished current Hall of Fame members. Coaches, players, innovators, organizers, and leaders who have all contributed to the development and growth of boys and girls lacrosse in our region, many of whom I have looked up to and admired. As we all know, life's turns are many and unpredictable. I loved playing football and baseball in my early years, so much so that I knew and was totally convinced that I was going to be playing or coaching them forever. It started out that way when at 21 out of college I started coaching 150-pound BRYC football. Those boys could hit. They were good. Many went on to play in local high schools, mainly Lake Braddock and West Springfield. Some on to college, and even one to the NFL. So how then did I end up here from there? What's my story? Unpredictable turn number one. I was blessed with 2 daughters and figured neither were going to be fullbacks. Even as much as I encouraged them. But today, they can still tell you what a blitz, stunt, or audible is. I at least insisted on that. Turn number 2. When in my 17th year of coaching football, my 7th grade daughter Lauren was told by a friend at church she ought to try lacrosse. She had tried swimming and basketball and embraced neither. My response when she told me about lacrosse was quite predictable. What's that? It wasn't played when I was in high school, and I didn't even know the sport existed. So I called about tryouts, and the not-so-friendly man said, "I guess there will be a team if you find a coach. I really don't care." So give him an A for honesty. I later realized it was the beginning days of Title IX, and girls lacrosse was upsetting the order, and the boys' side was quite angry back then. So go figure. Unpredictable turn number 3. At tryouts, of course, Lauren loved it. So another parent of a 7th grader and I said we would coach. He had at least played boys lacrosse at the Naval Academy, but that ultimately didn't mean much, as the games are so different. Off I went to the library to check out every book on girls lacrosse I could find. They were only minimal help, because it's one thing reading about it, another understanding it, and of course another knowing how to coach it. I'll never forget our first youth game. It was at Langley Forks in McLean, and one of our more experienced girls, Molly from Flint Hill, still remember her. With a minute to go, she sprinted the length of the field, face dodging all the way to score the winning goal with seconds to go. I fell in love with the game that day and haven't looked back. It was as exciting as any NFL game that I'd ever seen. It was also gratifying to know that we didn't ruin girls' careers through our inexperience, as the number of girls in our youth teams went on to have successful high school lacrosse careers. Fast forward beyond those 2 years, I was hired at Lake Braddock as JV coach for 5 years, then by the wonderful Frances Dahl to start the Westfield program for 4 years. Langley for 9, Hayfield 2, and currently in my 4th year at Freedom South Riding. So after Langley, somebody was saying I was retiring. And so that lasted about 3 months, and there's no way I could live without it. So I moved on. By the way, the other parent who coached that youth team with me was Gary McFadden, who many of you have known. Gary went on to great success at Robinson and ultimately won a state championship. I'd like to tell you about some of my coaching mentors and friends who helped me along the way, and also describe a few memories. Don West started lacrosse as a club program at Lake Braddock, and he took a chance and gave me my first high school coaching position, 5 years as a JV coach. It was a perfect foundation for eventual varsity positions. Michelle Gold. Michelle, hi. She started lacrosse as a club program at Robinson and helped me become the Northern Region's Commonwealth Games coach, which I did for 12 years. It was a wonderful experience. Michelle also encouraged me to join the U.S. Lacrosse Chapter Board. She was an outstanding coach and won 2 state championships at Centerville. She is now back coaching at Lake Braddock after an intermission to raise her children. So, you can't sneak up on anybody. It's out. She's a great coach. I always asked her to help me to teach me how to teach defense. And she's so competitive that she kept putting me off, and she never did tell me a word. Brian Pulick. We've been friends and competitors over the years, both starting as JV coaches. Did Brian make it here tonight? Had his Valentine tournament today. He's been a varsity coach at West Springfield for 23 years. We have had some memorable contests over the years. I remember one playoff game in particular when he came to Westfield. We knew each other's coaching styles so well. It was strategy versus counter strategy. Indicative of the final score was a 1-goal differential, which is indicative of the battle. It was so much fun. To us, it was a classic. It was our championship. Cindy Hook, current Annandale Lacrosse and Field Hockey coach, has been Girls Coaches Association president for many years, and has been an outstanding organizer and leader who I've enjoyed working with on the association business. Cindy was quite a high school and college athlete. She was an outstanding award-winning field hockey player at Annandale and University of Virginia, and also played many years post-collegiate. And I asked her the other day if she could still play, and she said yes. Amazing. Competitive, yes. This is one of my favorite stories. Gene Counts. Is Gene here tonight? Nope. Current coach at Madison. Back in the early days, before club teams, our northern region used to hold tryouts to put together tournament teams. I was at Woodson getting things started, and Jean, who had just given birth to her daughter, which seemed like only weeks before, came walking across the field, baby in her carrier. She puts the carrier under a nearby tree, comes over and says, "So what do we need to do?" Soft-spoken Jean, if you know her, soft-spoken Jean is one dedicated and tough girl. Her daughter, that girl, is now a sophomore playing lacrosse at Madison High School. Earl Brewer. Earl? Back here. Earl Brewer was longtime boys coach at Langley and winner of 4 state championships. We coached there together for 9 years as I coached the girls. Earl was a pleasure to coach with. He was the consummate professional and friend while working together for the Langley programs. I discovered soon after meeting that Earl had also been PE teacher to our daughters Lauren and Ashley in elementary school. Just have one more. Bill Lewis. Did he make it? He signed up to come. But anyway, Bill Lewis. We both coached at Hayfield. He boys and I was girls coach. We coached on adjacent fields. He often played with his team at practice, and I was impressed that he was the best player on that field. He knew the girls' game from helping coach his daughter Morgan's youth team. It helped me with coaching girls at off-season events. Fast forward, he was hired as girls' coach at Woodson, and in his 3rd year, led them to a state championship. Pretty impressive. Coaching is teaching, and that's my passion, teaching girls the game of lacrosse. It's what I love to do the most, whether it's my team or girls from other schools. There is nothing more gratifying than to see girls grow and develop with time into admirable players. I've been fortunate in my lacrosse journey to receive honors and recognitions, and acknowledge none of that is possible without wonderful and accomplished girls who play for the love of the game. A special part of my life with lacrosse over the past 23 years has been my relationship with established players, relationships I've established with players, parents, coaches, officials, umpires, school administrators, and the U.S. Lacrosse Potomac Chapter Board. It's now gratifying to see past players as umpires, as coaches in high school and college, as parents themselves, all embarking on successful career paths of their own. I've become a believer in volunteerism and service and encourage everyone, no matter their role, large or small, to use their knowledge, experience, and talent to give forward to your sport, activity, or community. It's never the exact right time, so just do it. Jump in even if in a small way. It's not only beneficial to others, but more gratifying to you than you could realize. I encourage you to leave your personal world a better place. In closing, I enthusiastically accept your gracious nomination into the Potomac Chapter Hall of Fame. Peace out and love to you all.
Use our expensive backdrop.
Good evening. My name's Tom McHugh, and it's my honor to introduce to all of you the 3 very deserving men's inductees to tonight's ceremonies. The first, and there has to be a first, is Jeffrey D. Fritz, head coach of Churchill High School. little background on Jeff. He's 5-time Coach of the Year, a dedicated PE teacher, Frostburg State University graduate, 2-time Collegiate Club All-Star, Seneca Valley High School MVP, and DC Area All-Star Attackman. Jeff has successfully coached Winston Churchill High School since 1994. His overall win-loss record ain't bad. 273, 107, and 1. And his teams have earned 6 division titles and 7 regional championships. Most importantly, over 25 years, Jeff has coached over 400 student athletes and has built the boys program into one of Maryland's top high school teams. Last year, his players earned more than 50% of all county postseason honors, and a Churchill player has won Player of the Year honors for 7 years in a row. That's quite an accomplishment, Coach. Jeff also coaches in the Bethesda Youth Leagues and with club and travel teams, and has been doing that for about 9 years. There are more statistics about Jeff that you can read about in your program. What we want to do is really get behind the scenes and find out what Jeff is all about. So we did a little digging. From a recent former player of yours, Jeff, who's at the University of Maryland, who beat Richmond today 10-9. Lou Dubik. We always got a kick out of seeing Coach drive around in his Gator. For practice, he always had our water bottles filled and ball bags organized. He loved to line the fields after games following bad weather. It was his passion. We could be driving by the field on Sunday and there'd be Coach lining the fields. Looking back on it now, we laughed a bunch, but we all grew to love the game because of his passion and attention to detail. But the best story of all about Jeff is due to his parents. Mrs. Fritz, are you with us this evening? Jeff's mom. Would you mind standing, please? I am told, Mrs. Fritz, that you and Mr. Fritz have attended every Churchill game for the last 25 years. Mrs. Fritz, I'm trying to tell the story here, okay? Mrs. Fritz bakes cookies for the Churchill team for every game, even gluten-free ones for those who want those. As Lou said to me, win, lose, we always knew we were going to get a Mrs. Fritz cookie. You talk about passion and support from parents to coach to players. It's outstanding. Well done, Mr. and Mrs. Fritz. Jeff and his wife Julie and their 4 children, Jamie, Jason, Jackson, and Jordan, live in Germantown, Maryland. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Fritz.
Thank you so much for this recognition. I am truly humbled and honored to stand before you here tonight. First, I'd like to thank the U.S. Lacrosse Potomac chapter. Never in my wildest dreams could I imagine this day. And congratulations to my fellow inductees, Patty, Richard, Ashley, Mark, and especially Andy, who was a rival player, gave me nightmares for years. It took me a long time to write this speech because I realized just how many people helped me get to this point. Words cannot express my gratitude, nor can this short speech do justice to describe the role all these people had on my coaching career. I'm also blown away by all the friends and family here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. The first time I played lacrosse was in PE class in 10th grade in Seneca Valley in the back gym. I remember that day vividly. A bunch of us fell in love with the sport of lacrosse, and in my junior year we found our teacher, Mr. Mark Pym. He helped us form a team my junior year. It was the first varsity lacrosse team in Montgomery County public school history. Coach Pym was very instrumental in the expansion of lacrosse in Montgomery County. I am forever indebted to him for helping me learn and love the game of lacrosse. Ironically, 14 years later, when we, Winston Churchill, won our first region championship, Coach Pym was the MCPS sport director and was able to hand me the plaque for the first ever Winston Churchill Region Championship. That photo is on my poster out front. Also in that same year, Coach Bill and I together started the Senior County All-Star Game, which is still played annually. Coach Bill's here tonight. Thank you for being here. You have no idea the impact you've had on my life. Thank you. In my senior year, I was able to play in the first ever Washington Area Lacrosse League All-Star Game down at Episcopal High School. At the time, I believe only 48 high schools in the DC metropolitan area were playing lacrosse. I was a representative from our team as a team MVP with a whopping, get this gentlemen, 15 points. I had 9 goals and 6 assists, and I was a Washington Area All-Star. After I graduated from Seneca Valley, I attended Montgomery Community College. I went back to Seneca and was an assistant coach for those 2 years under Daryl Schultz and then Ed Konsolonsky, the only other MCPS Potomac Chapter Hall of Fame member. Coach K was very influential in my decision to become a coach. Through my involvement in coaching, I realized that this is what I wanted to do. I loved coaching, and I loved every aspect of it. Unfortunately, Coach K was not able to be here tonight, but I want to let him know what impact he had on my life as well. From Montgomery College, I went to Frostburg State University to become a health and physical education teacher with a concentration in coaching. After graduating from Frostburg State, Coach K connected me with Winston Churchill. I took over a program that went 1-9. My first year, we went 5-7. I was introduced to the Churchill-Wooten rivalry. We won 6-3 that year after being beaten 17-1 the previous year. At the end of that first season, I was selected as the MCPS Coach of the Year. In my 25 years at Churchill, I've coached a lot of big games, almost 400 games in all. But if you really want to know how good of a coach you are, I highly suggest you coach 15 second graders. It's like trying to herd cats, I'm not going to lie. You haven't coached until you coached rec Little League. Seriously though, I loved my time coaching both rec and travel teams for Bethesda Lacrosse. I really loved watching the kids grow to both love and learn the game of lacrosse like I have. Bethesda is a very well-run program with tons of support both on and off the field. I've learned a few things over the years. The most important, surround yourself with good people. And then second, stick to your philosophy. And mine at Churchill has always been family first, academics second, and lacrosse third. At Winston Churchill, our success starts at the top with our administration. Our past principal for 21 years, Dr. Joan Benz, and our current principal, Ms. Brady Hackert, have been our biggest supporters. The athletic directors I've worked with over the years have been fantastic as well, especially our current AD, Mr. Jesse Smith. Jesse never says no, but rather, how can we get that done? And then our Winston Churchill community. The parents' unconditional support has been spectacular. There are a number of parents, too many to list, who have gone the extra mile over the years to help build and grow our program to what it is today. With all their help, it has allowed me to focus on coaching the players on the field. Surround yourself with good people, and great things can be done. All the coaches I've worked with over the years have a special place in my heart. I could go on for hours about these gentlemen and what they've done to taught me as a coach. Wayne Olin's passion, Stu Warren's grit, Brian McGill's knowledge, Mike Winter's charisma, Mike Kubik's intellect, Dave Blumenthal's willingness. All the parents I've coached with at Bethesda, all the coaches I've coached with at DC Express, the coaches at MDX, and especially the Montgomery County public coaches. What a bunch of passionate people. After 25 years of coaching, I am still learning every day, and I really cherish the relationships we've developed over the years. And then there are the players who I'm forever indebted to. These gentlemen are the reason I coach. I want them to be good lacrosse players, but more importantly, true gentlemen with great character off the field. They have totally bought into everything we have tried to instill in them, and there isn't anything I want to do for any of them at any time. Then there's my family. Talk about unconditional support. When we go to a game, we all go to a game. My family has been involved in every single aspect of our program at Churchill. First, I'd like to thank my brother Rich. He was an assistant coach for a few years. We're very close and we share a passion for lacrosse. He was the first player in Montgomery County Public Schools to go play Division I lacrosse. He walked on to UMBC and started all 4 years. He's a natural born leader, but one of the best things I learned from Rich was how not to be afraid to meet new people. He can walk into any room at any time and strike up a conversation with anyone. My father Dave was a role model to me with his hard work ethic. When my brother and I were growing up, he wasn't able to get to summer games, not by choice, but because he was working 60, 70-hour work weeks. He worked so hard to give my brother and I every opportunity afforded to us. Dad, I know you wanted to be there, so thank you for everything you sacrificed for Rich and I. During my coaching career, he's been at all our games and has helped watch his grandchildren in the stands. Then there's my mother, Grandma Fritz. She has served literally every role in our program at some point, from the lady with the cowbell at the game while my brother and I are playing, to videotaping every single game for my first 15 years, to taking stats one year, and then now watching her grandchildren in the stands. And as we mentioned prior, her legacy, the homemade chocolate chip cookies. Everybody loves her homemade chocolate chip cookies. Our players, parents sneak down the field, alumni come back, and alumni parents come back. Talk about unconditional love. Then there are my children, Jamie, Jason, Jackson, and Jordan. All my kids know is Churchill Lacrosse. They were raised going to Dad's games. Even now as they're playing for their own teams, they love going to Dad's games. I love watching my games through my kids' eyes, seeing their excitement as the games unfold. Jamie taking stats for us at the scores table. Jason and Jackson have both been on my sideline ever since they could walk, and they've been the best ball boy and hey Jordan. The best ball boys and water boys anyone could ever ask for. However, at times my wife wishes they were wearing earmuffs on the sidelines. My kids were always one step ahead of me when it came to helping out. And then there's my dear wife, Julie. Julie's been through every journey in my coaching career. Julie and I started dating in high school. She was our team manager and statistician. When I got the job at Churchill, she ran the scores table for years. And our officials like Tom Shekels and Homer Schwartz and Bob Manfuso would love to see Julie at the table because they knew everything was under control. She puts up with my long hours. The call on my drive home when I asked her forgiveness to stop by and scout a game. We've had all 4 kids during lacrosse season. I cannot thank you enough for all your support. I'd like to leave you with my favorite Winston Churchill quote. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Thank you to everyone in this room for giving your time and effort to make our sport what it is today. I will forever be indebted to this game we all love so dearly. And once again, thank you for this tremendous honor. I revere all the relationships I've built and look forward to lacrosse to be continuing an integral part of my life.
Okay, our next inductee. I have to say, every time I stand up here, and I'm lucky enough to be able to introduce and speak about someone who's going into the Hall of Fame, it really is a thrill and an honor, because I know how important it is for the people who are being inducted. But with this particular inductee, it's just a little more special. I have watched Patty Cleary's career develop from literally its very beginnings. Patty's being inducted tonight as a great umpire. I hope you will take a moment to read in the program about her early days as a player. You don't have to do it right now, but she had an amazing beginning to her lacrosse. She was going to go to college and be a softball player, and then decided, no, I think I'll go to Old Dominion and play lacrosse. Well, before she even went there, she had to have her high school field hockey coach teach her how to throw and catch with the lacrosse stick. And then she gets to Old Dominion, and the very first game she plays in is the very first game she's ever seen. So, pretty amazing. But then she moved back to the area, coached at Annandale High School, and then became an official. She was in one of the classes that I taught, and it's got to be 20 years ago, at least, wasn't it? Somewhere around then. We won't get into the specifics of that. So thankfully, after all of the playing and the coaching, she decided to give umpiring a try. Through her hard work and her dedication and her commitment to the game, she's risen through the officiating ranks, where she holds now a national elite rating. She's worked every kind of game from the little kids up through high school, where she's done conference and district finals and state finals, and now she's doing college games up through the NCAA playoffs. So an amazing officiating career for Patty. I'll take one little ounce of credit for teaching you 20 years ago. And while Patty has certainly excelled on the field in that very visible role, she's also made great contributions behind the scenes, both locally and nationally. She's always been a willing volunteer, someone who you could count on to do the job and get it done well. She took over as the local umpiring board chair, thankfully, thank God, when I stepped away from that position. Not an easy job, so thank you for that, Patty. I have to say, though, that the thing I'm most thankful for Patty, what she's done, is take over the teaching of the new umpires. I mean, I enjoyed it for the years I did it, but Patty's a teacher by training and special education teacher, and that probably helped with the training of the new officials. Honestly, I think she's been teaching the class for about 15 years now, and we figured she's probably trained over 300 officials with the classroom training. So a huge legacy she's left for our umpiring group. And you don't generally get the glory filling those roles, but if there weren't people like Patty to do that, we wouldn't be having the games. There wouldn't be any officials to do these games. On the national level, Patty has stepped up and served on the National Umpiring Committee. It's the group that sets policy and standards for the women's officials all across the country. She's been a speaker numerous times at the U.S. Lacrosse Convention. She's conducted clinics all across the country and currently serves as the Mid-Atlantic coordinator for the College Officials Association. And this, honestly, I had no idea that Tom was going to mention Mrs. Fritz and cookies and baking. So I just have to say that to some of her officials, Patty is known as Cookies Cleary. So you and Mrs. Fritz have to get together. Compare recipes after tonight. Maybe you can use her chocolate, if she's willing to share her chocolate chip cookie recipe. She became well known for her baked goods. She brought them to meetings and to clinics and to games. And she got the name Cookies because there were so many Pats and Patties in the women's officiating ranks that we had to be distinguished somehow. So Patty became Cookies Cleary. I'm lucky enough to have my birthday fall during lacrosse season, and I always look forward to having a game with Patty, just because she's a good official and a friend and fun to work with. But I especially liked it when it was right around my birthday, because I always knew that Patty would come to the game with a tasty bag of cookies for me and the other official who was working with us, so it was a special treat. Still remember those. A friend and fellow umpire who I reached out to get some thoughts about Patty, had these kind words, and I'd like to share them with you. Cookies, as some of us affectionately refer to her, isn't just about baking. She's a kind, generous, and tireless official in the women's game of lacrosse. On the field, she is a friend. She is the friend you need. And believe me, when you're an official, you need friends. She leads her officiating crews with words of encouragement, demonstrates professionalism with players and coaches, and works to fine-tune her personal officiating mechanics and positioning to be the best official that day, that week, or that month. You are lucky if you ever have been able to receive feedback from her at one of the many clinics and events. she's organized it or hosted. She evaluates men and women honestly on games while providing them with beneficial and valuable feedback. But that's Patty, kind, generous, and tireless. She truly deserves this recognition for her dedication of so many years to the game of women's lacrosse. Patty, it's a special honor for me tonight to be able to present you for induction into the Chapter Hall of Fame. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, Pat, for those kind words. You got it coming back to you in a minute. Thank you to the Potomac chapter for this honor and all the work you do to support lacrosse. Andy, Jeff, Mark, congratulations. Rich, a coach that is supportive of all hardworking officials. For many years, I knew there'd be one familiar face in my new officials class. Rich DeSoma took my class many times. Each year, I was just hoping that he changed his mind, would come to the dark side, and learn to officiate. Not a chance. And Ashley, I officiated UVA games when Ashley was a player, and I had then the honor to train her as an official. I remember after her first on-field training, I was so excited to get back in the car and call Margaret and say, she's going to be great. It just so happens that I work at the same school with Ashley's mom, Sandy. She's the first person I see when I get to school in the morning. So Monday mornings in the spring are like, what games did you work this weekend? And did you see that UVA score? There's one person here tonight that I owe my entire career to. I'm sure that without Pat Dillon, I would not be standing here tonight. She is the reason I have a career in officiating. She was my mentor and amazing support throughout the years. She pushed me every day to be a better official. If you know Pat, as many of you do, she's also someone you don't say no to. So when she asked me, or pretty much told me that I'd be the next local board chair, I said, sure. When do I start? When she said, would you like to go and get your district clinic, go to a district clinic and get your rating? I'm like, well, I didn't really have an option. She pretty much told me that I was going south of the border to get my district rating. So I said, okay, let's go. I always knew I could call Pat for support in getting the right answer about any rule. There were many calls late at night on the way back from a game to get the real answer, what should we have done? Even on the field, when her eyes would communicate to me, yes, you need to card that. I always knew she had my back and would fix whatever craziness happened on the field. Like when I noticed in the Georgetown game that the entire team ran off sides with 6 seconds left on the game clock. My first thought was, oh crap. But really, I'm sure that's not what came out of my mouth at that time. My second thought was, Pat will know exactly what to do. So I called time, went over, and I told her, I think we have a problem. Sure enough, she knew exactly how to fix it. My family was instrumental in my passion for sports. My parents always gave me opportunities to try different sports. My dad still asks me about all my games, and when he wants to come to a game, I make sure he sits far away from the fans. I told him once, they're going to yell stuff about your daughter you're not going to want to hear. I also remember the time that he called the Washington Post to ask for a copy of the picture in the paper from the state game. They asked him, oh, which player's your daughter? He said, oh no, my daughter's the ref in the back of the picture. The guy laughed and said, it was the first time that anybody's ever called for a picture of the ref. My dear friends, Lee, Sue, Rob, Chris, Nikki, Kelly, it means the world to me tonight that you're here supporting me. Some of you know way too much about lacrosse already. I cherish their friendships and their constant support. Chris, who gets me everything zebra, no matter where he goes. Rob, for keeping me company on long drives to Duke. The Mayfield family, for cheering me on at games. And Sue, who I have to remind every time, no, really, you can't yell that at the fans when they yell at me. My lacrosse friends are my family, Margaret, Tracy, and Pat. I'll always remember the long road trips, stopping to get medicine because your driving makes me sick. The many times of driving Miss Daisy, who packs the best road trip snacks, and of course the many hours on the phone after a game about that one call you did or didn't make. Or the many times we stay on the phone, even on a school night, till 1 or 2 in the morning to make sure we all get home safely. These are the people in your career that always build you up, even when you blew the call and you feel like at that moment you'll never get over it. We are each other's squad. We are the sisterhood of the traveling kill. Michelle. We started off years ago as rival coaches turned friends. I love that we teach together, but we really know that Monday and Tuesday mornings are lacrosse talk time. Margaret, you're my go-to. You're my go-to for lacrosse and in life. I love our multiple daily phone calls about the upcoming game, wondering if our kilt's going to fit for the game that day, and confessions that you give about how many times or how you haven't had time to wash your uniform even though you've already had 3 games this week. Remind me again why we do this? And the often stated, Patty, you can't say no to me today, as she's trying to assign me a high school game. I've enjoyed teaching the new officials class with Margaret for at least 12 to maybe 15 years. We did our best to teach to the rules of the game, in between arguing about who was right about the rule. That was usually me. Is that a high school rule or a college rule? That was always what Margaret knew. She had the answer. It was the Patty and Margaret show for sure. The best part of class for me was the demos. Margaret often left with bruises and a couple bumps on the head each class. Now I'm kind of wondering how many times she was concussed. My high school field hockey coach, Cindy Hook, was a monumental part in my passion for coaching and my love of lacrosse, along with OK Cheese popcorn and Diet Coke. She was the coach that taught you the value of hard work and what it really meant to be part of a team. She continues today, developing and molding young athletes on the lacrosse field. Lacrosse has given me amazing people in my life, connections with coaches and officials around the country, and taught me the importance of service. I have developed into the official today because of the other people's passions for service and for sport. I love being on the field, but there's something special about teaching and training officials to let them see their true potential, and mentoring young officials to develop skills to go on to the next level. For me, it's always about giving back to the sport that has given me so much. I hope that through my career, I've empowered many young women in the next generation of officials to have this amazing experiences and the opportunities that I have. Thank you again for this honor.
Our next inductee is Mark W. Goers. Mark was an All-American midfielder, Fairfax High School All-Met honoree in lacrosse and wrestling, Towson University honors graduate, face-off specialist, outstanding post-collegiate club player, NLL indoor pro, camp director, and clinician. And that was before breakfast. Mark graduated from Fairfax High School in 1990. He was a Washington Post All-Met lacrosse selection as a senior and earned all-district honors 3 times and all-region recognition twice. Mark also was a standout high school wrestler and 2-time district champion. He attended Towson University and walked on the lacrosse team. He played for Coach Carl Runk as a part-time face-off specialist and continued to improve his game, progressing to the starting midfield, and went on to become one of the most dominant face-off men of all time. Mark was a 2-time All-American and set the NCAA record for single-season face-off winning percentage at 77.6%, a record that stood for more than 20 years until last year. He is ranked number 2 in NCAA history for career college face-off percentage at 70.1%. Mark was elected to Towson University Athletic Hall of Fame in October of 2016. In 1996, he began to coach, and he started at Towson, assisting the Tigers to the NCAA quarterfinals. Since then, he has served as an assistant coach at Langley High School, Ohio State University. Why don't you go to Notre Dame? Go a little further west. Go to a real school. And the U.S. Naval Academy. At Navy, he is the director of lacrosse operations and a professor of physical disciplines. In his spare time, he coaches with the Chesapeake Bayhawks and is involved in youth lacrosse in the Annapolis area. My own personal introduction to Mark came several years ago at the Potomac chapter's annual lacrosse clinic held Super Bowl Sunday mornings at Marymount University. I'm sure many of you went to those sessions. They were great. I had just started coaching youth lacrosse and knew nothing about face-offs and saw a session on face-offs conducted by some guy named Mark Goers. So I thought I'd attend. Now, you need to understand, in my playing days, facing off was analogous to a train wreck. You had two guys on each wing, two guys in the middle, the whistle blew, and the object was to get everybody just to knock each other down. The hell with the ball, just knock each other down. When Mark began his dissertation on facing off, I knew I was in over my head. He expounded upon where to put the pinky on your left hand as it related to the big toe on the right foot of the opposition. At what angle of the square root over the hypotenuse of the stick handle gives you the most leverage, and on and on. You get my point. For 30 minutes, Mark described facing off in such extraordinary detail, it is no wonder he's one of the best of all time. Mark and his wife Jessica reside in Chester, Maryland, with their son William and daughter Juliet. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Goers.
Before I begin, I'd like to thank the Potomac chapter of U.S. Lacrosse for this honor. It is truly a humbling experience. I've always found it difficult to talk about myself, so I'm going to try my best to make this speech about some pretty important people to me and how I would not be here without them. My family played a huge role in my success. My father, who played college basketball at Ohio Wittenberg and later for the Air Force, gave me my work ethic. My brother, Matt, who played lacrosse at Oakton High School and went on to be the team captain at the Ohio State University, taught me how to be tough through routine older brother beatings. My sister Trina, who spent countless hours in a car or on the side of a field watching me and my brother play lacrosse, taught me patience. And of course, my mother. She's the one who introduced me to lacrosse when we moved from Alabama to Virginia. Her brother, my Uncle Ross, had played it back in his college days at Ohio Wesleyan. My mom herself was an accomplished athlete. She ran track and held several AAU world records. So I not only credit her with introducing me to lacrosse, but also passing along some important genes that helped me along the way. As you can see, I do have that svelte, sprinter-like physique. Well, at least I did 4,000 pizzas ago. My mother was the perfect team mom. She was always heavily involved in lacrosse. She did everything. She organized fundraising events. She was a taxi for countless teammates. She organized rosters, coached some of our games, and routinely lined the fields that I played on. There wasn't a field in Vienna that I played on that my mom, my brother, or myself hadn't lined that morning. I literally learned how to line a field before I learned how to cradle. Now, coming from Alabama, I had no clue how to play lacrosse. I remember the first time I saw it in real life. I was in 5th grade. I was sitting in the back of our wood-paneled station wagon, and we had just pulled into the parking lot for my very first practice with Vienna Youth Lacrosse. Looking out the window, I could see an older team was already on the field practicing. I sat there in the back seat and watched them. I was in awe of how they were passing, catching, and cradling. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Mind you, they were just doing line drills. I remember meeting my first coach, Coach Chris. I remember being sat down with my teammates and listening to the rules. And I vividly remember my first experience actually playing. Let me paint you a picture here. My first line drill. I'm in line waiting my turn, excitedly peeking over the shoulders of the guys in front of me. And remember, I had seen the older kids do this already. I had this figured out. I was going to catch the ball, run down the field, cradling like a beast, and pass it off to the next guy in line, just like those older kids did. Well, finally, it's my turn. I'm in the front of the line. The first pass comes my way, goes straight past me. Uh-oh. I run back to get the ball, pick it up with my hand, put it in my stick, run towards the other line with the best power cradle you can imagine. I mean, I am Captain Cradle at this point. I go to throw the ball and whiff. Nothing. No ball. I had dropped it 10 yards back when I first started cradling. I run back to pick it up. The kids in line and standing in line are yelling, "Use your stick, use your stick." I spent what seems like an eternity trying to pick that ball up. I'm just pushing the ball around every time I try and scoop it up. Like, it's not going well for me right now. Finally, I get the ball back in my stick. I'm carrying it like an egg in a basket. And I make a phenomenal pass right to the parking lot. Mercifully, the coach throws the ball to the next guy in line, so I'm off the hook. Now I'm back in the other line, though. My excitement has turned into anxiety because I'm going to have to do that all over again. Next time, same thing. I'm a mess. I'm back in the other line now. Anxiety has turned into true fear because I can't do this. Now I'm wondering why I'm even out there. After a few minutes of this, the coach pulls me aside. He could obviously see how frustrated I was. He asked me, "First time?" I'm despondent, literally tears in my eyes. I'm like, "Yeah, I can't do this. I don't even think I need to be out here." And the coach stops me mid-sentence. Coach Chris gets on his knee, looks me in the eye, says, "You can't do this yet." One simple word, only 3 letters long, and it had the power to completely change my future. Yet. You can't do this yet. Man, that's the power of coaching right there. He took me under his wing, worked with me that whole season. I bought in. I loved the game. He was a great coach. I've been fortunate to have great coaches my whole life, though. In high school, I played for Coach Earl Brewer, the man, the myth, the legend. Coach Earl Brewer is one of the finest coaches to ever be a part of this game. His success as a coach on the field is well known and well documented with multiple state championships. However, if you've ever played for him or spent any time around his program, you know what truly makes him great. He cares about every one of his players, from the All-American to the last guy in sprints. Everybody's included, welcomed, and enabled. He is calm, cool, and collected. Nothing phases him. One of the most unique memories I have of lacrosse comes from my senior year at Fairfax High School. It was late in the season, and we had moved up a couple sophomores to play that night. During the game, one of these guys runs off the field screaming, "My eye fell out! My eye fell out!" We all stood there wide-eyed and stunned. Coach, calmly, looks at him and says, "Do you remember where it fell out?" Which we replied, "No, it fell out when I first got out there." Now our stunned silence gives way to absolute shock that he kept playing until his midfield shift was over. Well, it turns out he had a glass eye. Coach knew about it. We didn't. Coach calmly walks out onto the field, gets the attention of the refs. Proceeds to have a powwow on the field with the refs and the coaches from the other team. After a brief moment, Coach walks back, pulls us into a huddle, says, "Hey, both teams are going to line up on the end line. We're going to walk in a skirmish line." Well, we all line up. We get on the end line. We start walking the line. Then from somewhere down the line, there's commotion. Somebody had spotted the eye. Well, I think the eye had spotted them because they had said, "It's looking at me, it's looking at me." The refs blow the whistle and tell both teams to go back to the bench, while the adults and the kid kind of get things situated. The kid picks up his eye. He runs back over to the bench, eye in hand, pops off the top of the water cooler, dunks it in, gives it a swish, puts it back in. Coach comes over unfazed, pulls us back into a huddle, gives us a speech about focus and adversity. And off we go. Game's back on. We did win that game. Nobody drank any water for the rest of the night. Coach Brewer, it was Coach Brewer who got me an opportunity to play in college. He convinced Carl Runk and Jeff Clark, sight unseen, to give me a chance on Towson University squad. Now, it was the early 90s, and Northern Virginia and Fairfax County public school system wasn't quite known for lacrosse, so at the time, this was a pretty big deal. The first time Coach Runk saw me play was in one of his lacrosse classes. He would later say in an interview, "I got this big in here. He's in class. He's running over pencil necks. I'll tell you, he says he's a midfielder, but I think he's a linebacker. Katie bar the door. We're going to give him a shot and see what happens." I took that chance. And with the help of some very talented teammates, I made the best of that opportunity. I earned my way to a starting spot and had the great fortune to break a few school and NCAA records along the way. After graduating, I stayed in lacrosse and started coaching. As a coach, I had the great fortune to help Ohio State win its first ever conference championship with Coach Bresci and Jay Stalford. I've coached in the national championship game with Coach Meade and John Tillman at Navy. I've had the pleasure of working with some of the greatest midshipmen to come through the Naval Academy: Stevie, Billy, Brendan Looney, Piazanka, William Wallace, and Ian Dingman. I now have the greatest job in America. I teach at the United States Naval Academy. I've had the privilege of working with some of the finest coaches in the sport: Ricky Soule, Dave Cottle, Ryan Moran, Ryan Wellner, Michael Phipps, Rob Camposa, Stan Ross, Anthony Gallardi, Ray Finnegan, John Tillman, and Richie Meade. I've also worked with some of the best administrators you can find in college athletics. Joe Cook, who actually played baseball in college, but despite that is still a great guy. Matt Munley, who played lacrosse on Long Island. He nearly went to Columbia University, but passed it up due to his love of the weather in upstate New York and went to Hobart College. Carl Tamulevich, who graduated from the Naval Academy in 1968 as a 4-time national champion, a 2-time All-American, and winner of the prestigious William C. Schmeiser Award, which recognizes the nation's top defenseman. And certainly Jay Antonelli, who was a goalie in high school before going on to wrestle at the Naval Academy, which was probably a smart choice as he's gone on to coach 2 U.S. Olympic wrestling teams. And certainly our athletic director, Chet Gladchuk, a man who's done more for lacrosse than any other athletic director in our country. Finally, I'd like to recognize my wife, Jessica. I call her the greatest recruit of my entire career. I met her when I was in Annapolis recruiting for Ohio State. I had just finished a home visit, and anytime I was in the Annapolis area, I stayed with one of my former teammates, Dudley Dixon. I show up at Dudley's house that night, and he announces, "We're going out." And I'm like, "No. Man, I got an early flight to Texas in the morning. You know, I'm tired. I'm not going out." Well, we all have that friend that can convince you to do anything, right? That's Dudley for me. So he convinces me to go out, and not only just go out, we go out to the eastern shore of Maryland. I don't even know where that is. Well, we get out to our destination, and I walk in, and I spot her almost immediately from across the room. She's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Unbelievable smile, a whole aura around her that just seems magical. Right off the bat, I knew she was completely out of my league. I'm way too intimidated to even come up and say hi to her. But as the night goes on, Dudley convinces me I need to go talk to her, which I'm glad he did. So I go up to her, and this was not a line, I really meant this. I go, "I cannot live the rest of my life without at least knowing your name." She looks right at me and says, "Jessica," walks off. She stops. She did stop. She stops, turns, and goes, "It took you long enough." So not only was she beautiful, but she had a great sense of humor. We wound up talking the rest of the night. We got married a year later. That was 18 years ago. Since then, we've had a son, William, and a daughter, Juliet. They're my next generation of recruits. William, who is 13, is an accomplished football, basketball, and lacrosse player. Juliet is a talented 5'10", 11-year-old who enjoys playing field hockey, volleyball, and of course basketball. I love you guys very much. I do want to say one last thing before I go. Coach Brewer, when I was at Fairfax, I was a knucklehead. I made poor life choices. For a little bit, I didn't think I was going to graduate high school. If it wasn't for you being the man that you are, going above and beyond, keeping the doors to my future open, I would have never made it to college. I would not be a professor at the United States Naval Academy. I would not have met my wife, and I certainly would not be here tonight. Thank you. You've given me more than I could ever give back. Your inspiration is the main reason I coach today. Thank you, Coach. Thank you all.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to get up here and top the eyeball story. I'm glad we have that captured on film. That was a classic. All right, Ashley. I guess you know it's finally your turn. Ashley McCullough. I wonder if Ashley's mom and dad knew and imagined what was to come when they signed her up to play boys lacrosse when she was in the 3rd grade. There were no little girl teams at that age, so Ashley played on the boys lacrosse team when she was in the 3rd grade. She truly is one of the finest women's players to come out of the Potomac chapter area. She played at Woodson High School, an outstanding attack player. She was named an All-Met, she was an All-American, Player of the Year honors, and her teams won the Virginia State Championship 3 out of the 4 years she was there. An amazing accomplishment. Highly recruited, Ashley decided she was going to go on and play for another Cavalier squad at the University of Virginia. She was an All-American, she was an All-ACC, All-NCAA tournament, 3 ACC championships, and the NCAA finals. And she told me she's one of only 4 players in UVA history to score at least 100 goals and 100 assists. And if you know anything about UVA women's lacrosse, that's quite an accomplishment. They are a phenomenal team and have been for years and years. Again, I wanted to know a little bit more about Ashley and her playing and her personality, and more than just the awards. So again, with Kathy Jenkins, who knows everybody in lacrosse, she helped me reach out to a number of people, and we collected the following remembrances, which I'd like to share with you. The first one is from Bill Lewis. Bill is the current coach at WC Woodson, and I think he coaches with you at Capitol. So Bill was nice enough to share some thoughts about Ashley. Ashley exemplifies the finest traditions of an athlete. At WT Woodson, she excelled in basketball, field hockey, and lacrosse, where she still holds the records for most goals scored in her career, as well as the single season. Fellow Hall of Fame inductor Rich DeSoma has often commented that Ashley had the fastest first step in the 8-meter of any lacrosse player to come out of Northern Virginia. She possesses the qualities of keen intellect, leadership, and poise that make her a truly outstanding player. Her thoughtful nature, coupled with her ability to thrive in difficult circumstances, is unique. Her competitive nature allows her to excel in challenging situations, yet she has always maintained a friendly demeanor and maturity, which, combined with other qualities, helps make her truly exceptional. Even in the most heated competition, Ashley has always upheld the highest principles of sportsmanship, and she has represented her school, her team, and herself honorably. While a natural leader on and off the field, Ashley believes in inspiring those around her. She is a devoted mentor to young lacrosse players and is involved in the One Love Foundation. What I find most remarkable about Ashley is that she is not fazed or motivated by individual awards, and she's received a good number of them. Rather, she has an internal desire to excel, to work harder than anyone else, and make a positive contribution in every phase of her life. So that was the high school. I reached out to a few people at the college level, one of whom is Julie Myers, your head coach at UVA. And Julie had the following to say: Ashley is one of the best attackers I've ever coached. And again, that's saying something. At UVA, they have had a ton of fabulous players. She's quick, smart, feisty, creative, and beyond hard to stop, and then near impossible to catch from behind. She was always happy to get on the field and to stay on the field. It was like a playground to her. She made fun things happen with her teammates and played so well with all of them. And then we got two of your former teammates to give us some comments, one of whom is Claire Bordley. Not sure where Claire is. Yes, Claire. At UVA, Ashley led by example. She was a solid attacker. She didn't always get all the attention she deserved, but she was a strong contributor who always came through with the big goals, always stepped up, and was a superstar. She had great stick skills. Loves the game and always put her team first. Lacrosse was very important to her and she is still very involved. She's a great teacher of the game, encourages fundamentals, always bubbly and encouraging, and very positive with the girls she coaches. And finally, I had to save this one for the end. Your former roommate, Kendall McBrearty. Kendall, they say the sign of a good teammate is someone who puts the team and her teammates first. I can say without fail, Ash Mack fits that mold. Born into a loyal, hardworking, and lax-obsessed family, Ash was bound to do great things on and off the field, and definitely for the sport of lacrosse. Not to mention, this is my favorite one, not to mention she protected our house with a K-bar knife, combat knife. Thank you, Mr. McCullough. We'll talk about that afterwards. As a smart and insanely quick attacker, she saw plays develop before others and was able to score more than her fair share of goal line shots. She has continued to pass on her knowledge and given back to the area that helped develop her. I could go on, but Ash was a great teammate, a great roommate, and a great friend, and a great ambassador for our sport. Congratulations, and she did the UVA cheer thing. What is that? Wahoo wah?
Wahoo wah, wahoo wah, University of Virginia, hooray, hooray, hey, hey, UVA.
Yeah, exactly. Ashley, congratulations. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the Hall of Fame.
I just wanted to thank everyone here tonight. This is such an honor. Kathy Jenkins sent me an email at like 11 p.m. on like a Tuesday night over the summer and said, call me in the morning. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I coach a lot of her St. Stephen's girls for my club team. And called her in the morning on my way to work, and she was like, just want to let you know that you're getting inducted into the Potomac Chapter Hall of Fame. I was shocked. I was surprised. I couldn't wait to tell my parents. I knew they'd be excited. But then I realized I had to make a speech. And I got really nervous. And then I saw Patty last week at our rules training for officials, and I got really nervous because she was nervous. So I did what anyone would do, and I Googled Hall of Fame speeches, just to try to get some inspiration. A lot of the NFL Hall of Fame speeches came up, so I watched a few, and they had overcome a lot of adversity, obstacles, and had moved on to these storied careers. So I kind of thought hard, and I was like, what have I overcome? What has been obstacles in my way? So the first one I kind of thought of was that I grew up with two older brothers. So not only was I the youngest, I was a girl, and they were both involved in sports, and they were physical, and they picked on me, and I definitely knew when it was football season, and they would definitely tackle me, and I'd yell for my mom a lot. So, but they were definitely great influences for me. If we were skiing and they were going down black diamonds, I was doing that. If they were jumping out of the high dive, I was doing that. And I can't thank my brothers enough for making me tough and competitive. And that really shaped who I am today. So, love you guys. Thank you. The other thing that I had to overcome was a crazy parent. And that is my father. As a lot of you, I feel like should know. If you don't, I can go into examples all night about him. But He's a 20-year Marine, and he's very loud. So if you don't know him, you've probably heard him. But he has definitely been a big part of my life. I think in high school, one of the examples that I like to talk about is that I would have him come to Whistler with me and just feed me balls. He never played lacrosse, so he was not good at lacrosse. But he would get out there, and it actually made me better that he would just feed me really terrible feeds that I'd have to catch. At UVA, he was also, there's a tradition that every there's a senior parent that after every goal plays a kazoo. Everyone knows what a kazoo is? You don't play them anymore, but after every goal, a parent would play that and lead a cheer. And it's always a senior. After my sophomore year, he was bestowed that honor. So I had 3 years of him playing the kazoo after every goal, which was a lot, but he has always been such a big supporter of me. He has definitely been in youth, high school, college, just someone that I could always turn to, and I thank you for just being such a big fan, and have such a passion for the game. I had to save the best for last, my mom. She's the real MVP of the family. She puts up a lot from our crazy competitive family, and has always just been such a great support for me and always there when I needed her. I've been truly blessed in my career in high school and college. My high school coach was Dare Bonham, who is in the Hall of Fame here. He is an inspirational coach and one of the best to coach the game. In college, I had Julie Myers at UVA, who is another legend of the game. So definitely blessed with my coaches and all my teammates that I had that have really shaped me. And I think now getting to give back and getting to either officiate, Patty taught me. She's an amazing official. It's really hard. Okay, it's really, really hard. And she does an amazing job. And then obviously coach. I coach a club team, Capital, and I love to just bestow my love for the game and everything I've learned. So I just want to thank everyone here tonight. It's been great to get to know everyone, and obviously the Potomac chapter for putting this on. So thank you.
Our third men's inductee this evening is Andrew J. Cornell. Andy was an All-American midfielder at Walt Whitman High School and Georgetown University. Andy has some friends in the room. He was an All-Met honoree, gifted face-off specialist, North-South College All-Star, and MLL All-Star. Andy has volunteered some of his time on behalf of Winners Lacrosse to help bring the sport of lacrosse to the inner city youth of Washington, D.C., and we thank you for that. In high school, he was team captain and selected to play in the 2001 High School North-South National All-Star Game, and he was inducted into the Whitman Athletic Hall of Fame in the inaugural class in 2008. Andy arrived at Georgetown University in 2001, where he started going hard for the Hoyas' nationally renowned coach and Potomac Chapter Hall of Fame member, Dave Urich. No shock, good things started to happen. A three-time All-American and All-Conference selection at Georgetown, Andy led his team to 3 conference championship titles. Andy currently holds Georgetown records for career ground balls, 341, career face-off wins, 624, and career face-off percentage, 64.7. Upon graduation, he had set single season marks for ground balls, 105, and face-off wins, 186. These numbers about right? Okay, good. We're going with it. His record for career face-off percentage currently ranks 10th all-time in the NCAA record books. Now, there's another thing you all ought to be aware of tonight. Between Mark and Andy and 2009 Hall of Fame inductee Jude Collins, we have, as members of our chapter, three fellows who are in the top 10 NCAA all-time in terms of face-off winning percentage. That's pretty remarkable. And all three are high schoolers from this area, so take that, Baltimore. Love it, love it. After graduation, Andy tried out for Team USA in 2006. He was the sixth pick in the 2005 MLL draft by the New Jersey Pride, playing with his former Georgetown coach Scott Urich, and he concluded his pro career in 2009. All of that's in your program. Of course, we wanted to get inside and really understand who Andy is all about, so we reached out to some coaches and teammates to try to find out some inside scoop, a funny remembrance of Andy, something that we could maybe embarrass him a little bit with as he came up to the podium here. So I called Scott Urich, and Scott's immediate response is, no, Tom, nothing really funny or embarrassing about Andy that you can tell. I thought, well, gee, this is going well. And Scott's got his father's dry wit, so if he was saying no, then that probably is true. So I called Kevin Shushan. Well, either there's a cone of silence, but he has the same reaction. No, there's really nothing to tell about Andy. Oh my God, now what do we do? But the thing that was really cool is both of them followed up very quickly by saying the following, that Andy was one of the hardest workers they had ever coached or played with. Scott shared that while Andy was an outstanding at facing off, he was not one-dimensional, and this was not he was facing off when there was not a specialization. It was you played both ways when you were facing off, and Andy was not hurting the team when they left him out there at midfield. Kevin recalls that Andy earned All-American honors at a time when face-off guys weren't recognized for being face-off specialists. His other memorable reaction is that Andy would take extra time from his high school days and go down to Landon, a perennial powerhouse in the area, so he could practice facing off against some of the best competition in the neighborhood, just on his own free time. With that type of dedication, it's no wonder he developed into one of the best of all time. Andy and his wife Ann reside in Washington, D.C. with their infant daughter Cameron. Please welcome Andy Corno.
You're welcome. Mark, want to go?
4,000 pizzas ago.
Oh man. Obviously, I'm humbled to be up here, and special thanks to U.S. Lacrosse and in particular Pat McCardle, who's in the back, Eileen and John for putting on such a special event. Truly humbled to be up here. Pat, when you called me and let me know that I was going to be inducted into the U.S. Lacrosse Potomac chapter, I was on Claire Barton Parkway, and for those of you who know Claire Barton Parkway, you swerve and you could easily get in a car accident, and I almost did. I was shocked. To be listed next to Hubbard, Collins, Urich, Rienzo, Rabel, Ward, Goers, I'm truly, truly honored. Lacrosse has had a profound impact on my life, from travels across the country and globe, and the guidance I've been given through coaches, meeting endless families in the region, coaching, to now my professional career, and most importantly, the lasting relationships that I've formed through the sport. There's too many people to thank, too many teammates, too many coaches, but I'll have to give a shout out to a few of them. First of all, my brother, who let me just run around with all his buddies, who was 3 years older, and I think helped elevate my, get me a little advanced in sports at a young age. My sister, who was with me through not only grade school, high school, and college, was a huge support. Next to my first youth lacrosse coach and all the other youth lacrosse coaches out here, his name was Brian Green. When I first started playing lacrosse, it was in 8th grade, and I was first an attackman. He was the one that, towards the end of the year, noticed that I had an infatuation for ground balls. Maybe it was my lower center of gravity, but regardless, he said, give it a shot. And I didn't take one face-off that 8th grade year, but he was the one who told me to try, and I ended up converting to a midfielder. Got to give a special shout out to my high school football coaches. There was a ton of them: Dean Swink, Andy Wetzel, Jim Kuhn, Eric Wallach, Lazier. These guys had a profound impact on my life growing up. They taught us truly the meaning of hard work. A lot of the fan base in the back that's cheering, those are guys I played football with, and obviously have an incredible relationship with them today. This group of guys took Whitman's program from like 2-8 to 10-0. They've done incredible things for Whitman, and I'm grateful for that. Next to my high school lacrosse coach, who's here tonight, Kevin Pope. Kevin took over Whitman in the year that it went from a club program to a fully funded program by the county. He had a vision for Whitman to become an elite level lacrosse program. I can't quite say we ever made it to elite, but he made us play prep, and we lost 15-1. It was coach that towards the middle of my high school career, I was kind of thinking Division III colleges where I might be able to play football and lacrosse, but it was truly coach that helped me write the letters, that made the calls, got me into the camps, and most importantly was the catalyst for starting this Division I recruiting train. He got me. He made probably 60 calls to Dave Cottle, his old friend, that they got me into one particular camp that really started getting the ball rolling. An incredible man that had an incredible influence in my life, and I'm forever grateful. To others, in some of which are in the room, like Rob Borgley and John Shushan at Landon, who let me come over to their practices when I was in high school. The guys like Cabell Maddox, who are running club programs. I was on Cabell's first team before those snazzy helmets, and played in a few tournaments that got me some looks. So all the other volunteers out there, Mike Kerwin, his brother Ali, who I played with, but Mike was a volunteer assistant at Whitman, who actually taught me how to face off all those angles and degrees and all that fun stuff. Dave Urich, without a doubt, before I get to Dave, obviously thankful for the opportunity to have gone to Georgetown University. Kerwick and Rogers, who recruited me, to Scott and Matt, who I played for. These guys were awesome. I'll never forget that I came in to my spring of freshman year a little bit out of shape, a few too many pizzas with all my football buddies, and Scott and Matt were the ones who did the extra workouts with me to ensure I was be able to kind of hit the field that year. To Dave Urich for taking a shot for a kid coming from Whitman. Truly an incredible man that is one of the best to have ever been a part of the game. He truly made us appreciate what an opportunity we had to play at such a university, and what an incredible coach. We never stood around or we killed the grass. Every meal was a banquet. We made errors going a million miles an hour. I mean, this guy was one of the best to play for. Again, forever grateful for him to give me a shot coming from Whitman. I'm most thankful to Lacrosse and Georgetown for the group of guys I played with there. We had some special times at Georgetown. We made the tournament every year. We won ECAC championships. We beat Duke, we beat Syracuse, but at the end of the day, it's the guys that you play with when you're out there on the field. Dave Belisso, who's here, but Mike, Chaz, Rich DeAngio, Nick Muritas, and most of all, Brody Merrill, who, one of my best of friends in college, he was the guy who truly taught me how to get after a ground ball. I mean, he was out of this world. Playing in the MLL was a ton of fun. We got to get reunited with Scott Urich in Jersey and play along Jesse Hubbard. Very thankful for that experience. The last few things I want to touch on are obviously my parents, who I couldn't be here without them. They've done everything to get me to where I am. It was my father who told me that it was nonsense that I couldn't play Division I lacrosse. And he wasn't wrong. He told me it was nonsense I couldn't be an All-American or beat the top face-off man in the league. This was also the guy that told me to get a job after I first crashed my car. So he taught me a couple other good values along the way too. To my mom, who screamed at the top of her lungs at every single game, "Get the face off, Andrew." She also happened to cook just the most incredible pesto meal for Coach Urich that I think that hooked him when he came over for that recruiting dinner. She also told me to follow my heart. I'll never forget. I remember talking to her about, if you ever got hurt and you blew out your knee and you could never play again, where would you be most happy? And that was Georgetown, and I'm grateful for her guidance that way. I'm also thankful just to the sport in general for truly beating up my body over the years. A couple bad shoulders, two shoulder surgeries. After probably 100,000 face-offs, I did end up, quote unquote, retiring. And maybe it was because I had a bum shoulder, or maybe it was because I just wanted to have more time on the weekends. But regardless, it was the year I stopped playing lacrosse that I met my wife, who is my ultimate supporter, and happened to, and my biggest fan, though she never really did get to see me play, and we also brought in the most amazing 5-month-old daughter. On the weekend, we were having our Georgetown reunion, so that sort of spoiled that. But regardless, she's ultimately the one that is my biggest supporter, and I'm forever grateful. So, thank you, U.S. Lacrosse. Thank you for all of this. It's an honor, truly.
Okay, we are finished with our formal induction ceremony. We have the use of the University Club till about 10:30, so you are more than welcome to stay and don't leave just yet. Visit some more. The bar is going to be reopened. We have coffee and dessert in the bar area. We let Mrs. Fritz and Patty off the hook. They did not have to bake the cookies. One night, you get the night off. For the inductees, please remember to take your posters. They're yours. We also have the boxes that your plaques came in, so you can take those home safely. If you look on the back of the program, you see every year we put the picture of the preceding class on the back. So I know you want to visit with your families. I know you want to go and get a drink. Believe me, I want to go get a drink because I had one glass of wine. That's my rule. One before the ceremony. So I am heading directly to the bar. But we need the 6 inductees to please come up to the front so we can get your picture. Bring your plaque. We want you to be on the back. Okay? Thank you all for coming.